What's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob. How is everybody doing? Before I get started talking about the possible trade between the New York Mets and the Baltimore Orioles revolving around Trey Mancini and the bullpen arm, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you're enjoying my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. All right, guys, so we all know what the Mets need to be a contender for a world championship. They've been struggling at the DH spot. They've been struggling at third base. They've been struggling at catcher throughout the entire year. But for some reason, the Mets found a way throughout the entire season to continue to be in first place in the NL East. But they need a bat. Not just a power bat, but a productive bat out of that DH spot or that third base spot or possibly that catcher spot. So there's rumors going around that the New York Mets are very interested in Trey Mancini of the Baltimore Orioles. So when I heard that, I'm like, what would the Mets have to give up for a guy who is still under contract, is not a rental, has a player option? We will go over his contract and his stats for the 2022 season and see what the Mets would have to give up to get Trey Mancini. But I also added a bullpen arm from the Orioles to add on to the trade with Trey Mancini going to the New York Mets and what the Mets would have to give up in a trade proposal to land Trey Mancini and that bullpen arm from the Orioles. So many different teams are going to be looking into Trey Mancini. There was some rumors about the Atlanta Braves, possibly the Philadelphia Phillies, and amongst other teams that are going to be in the hunt for Trey Mancini, that veteran bat who is versatile, who can play first base and DH as well. But in the Mets case, primarily, they would actually use Trey Mancini as a DH player most of the time, not just at first base. Every now and then he probably will play first base, but considering that the Mets desperately need some type of power and consistency at the plate at the DH spot, there's no doubt about it. Trey Mancini would be the everyday DH for the New York Mets in the lineup. He will be a welcome addition wearing the orange and blue in the next couple of weeks if Billy Epler can get a trade done to bring Trey Mancini and this bullpen arm to the New York Mets. So, what would a trade look like to bring Trey Mancini and the bullpen arm to the New York Mets? Well, it will look something like this. The New York Mets will receive Trey Mancini, who is a first base / DH, and Felix Bautista, who's been very good in the bullpen of the Baltimore Orioles, who is a right-handed pitcher that is in the bullpen. What would the Orioles get? Well, the Mets would have to give up their top 5 prospect in Mark Vientos. They would also give up J.D. Davis, who is a guy who can play third base, DH, and first base, so he's a platoon guy for the Orioles. And their number 17 prospect in the Mets system in Eric Orza, who is also a right-handed pitcher. So the Orioles will get 2 top 20 prospects and a possible bench guy or possibly a starter in J.D. Davis, who I think just needs a change of scenery and play every day, because in 2019 with the Mets, when he played every day, his offense shown. He can bat 280, he can hit you 20 home runs and knock in around 75 RBIs. He is a very good offensive player, J.D. Davis. Now, could he be at that DH spot where he can just fill in for a Trey Mancini? Absolutely, on an everyday basis. I just think J.D. Davis needs a change of scenery and needs to play every day. And if he's an everyday DH, I think his offense's numbers will show like they did in 2019 for the New York Mets. So that is the trade proposal I propose to get Trey Mancini and a bullpen arm that the Mets desperately need in that bullpen. We'll go over Felix Bautista stats and his contract as well as Trey Mancini. So the Mets will be getting Trey Mancini and Felix Bautista going to the New York Mets for Mark Vientos, top 5 prospect in the Mets system, J.D. Davis, who is a platoon DH, first base, and third baseman, and number 17 prospect in Eric Orza, the right-handed pitcher in the Mets farm system. So the Orioles will get 2 top 20 prospects along with J.D. Davis in that trade proposal. So when it comes to Trey Mancini, what does it look like for Trey Mancini stat-wise and contract-wise? So we're going to go over the contract really quickly with Trey Mancini. So Trey Mancini is making $7.5 million this year, which is very reasonable. And he also has a mutual option for $10 million at the age of 31 for the 2023 season. If the Mets are going to give up Vientos, Orzer, and Davis, there's a pretty good chance that the Mets are going to take on that option as long as Mancini will. And I think Mancini will take that $10 million. I doubt he will become a free agent and risk not getting the money he could get in 2023 at $10 million. So when it comes to Trey Mancini, the mutual option in 2023 becomes a big key, is the reason why I'm giving away Vientos, Orzer, and Davis in this trade. But also looking at that relief pitcher as well is why the Mets have to give up 2 top 20 prospects along with J.D. Davis. So Trey Mancini, money-wise, is very easily acceptable for the New York Mets. And that mutual option is also a possibility just in case the Mets might lose somebody in free agency next year during the offseason. At least Trey Mancini can fill a role at the DH spot at least for one more year, including the second half of this season, in the 2022 season. So what is the stats for Trey Mancini in the 2022 season? Well, his power numbers are somewhat down this year with 8 home runs, but his average is pretty good at 284 with 35 RBIs. On base percentage of 357, slugging of 421, and OPS of 779 with 299 at bats. Trey Mancini is a solid professional veteran ball player who will be a welcome addition to this Mets offense. Power numbers are a little bit down. I would like a little bit more power numbers since he's hit 20 home runs or more every year of his career, except for his rookie year where he hit 3, and he didn't play in the 2020 season during the pandemic year. So he is averaging around projection-wise, around 16, 17 home runs for the entire year. But Trey Mancini, I think a little change in scenery, I think the power numbers will come up, get a little bit more protection in the lineup, which you have with the Mets around Alonso, Lindor, Escobar, and Canna. I think those power numbers will jump up a little bit, so I could see Trey Mancini hitting around 20 home runs, which is around his career stats in home runs. And 284 is well good enough average-wise for the New York Mets. And 35 RBIs, where he's put in the lineup for the Orioles, is the reason why he's not getting a lot of RBIs with the Orioles. And I think that will click up as well as the New York Mets. So Trey Mancini, 8 home runs, 284 average with 35 RBIs. Slugging around 421 with an on-base percentage of 357 will be a perfect addition for the New York Mets in this lineup. Even though there's other guys out there, Trey Mancini, I think, overall is the best option for the New York Mets in a trade proposal to get him, and is the best option value-wise to get the value that you get offensively and what you would have to give up in a trade. Now when it comes to that relief pitcher that I was talking about in Felix Bautista, I really like Felix Bautista. He's making $700,000 this year, 27 years old, so he's not that young. It took him a long time to get into the big leagues. He finally made it this year and is causing havoc in the Baltimore Orioles bullpen. He is absolutely amazing with a 1.77 ERA in 38 games. And look at the strikeouts, guys. 44 strikeouts in 35 2/3 innings, only 13 walks. He is having a really good year in the Baltimore Orioles bullpen, and he will be an excellent addition for the Mets bullpen. And that is the reason why you got to give up a little bit more in prospect-wise to get Felix Bautista so you can get that bat at DH and also a bullpen arm in Felix Bautista. I understand that he's been in the minors for many years, and finally he gets the opportunity with the Orioles at the age of 27. But considering what he's done in the first half with a 1.77 ERA, I think the Mets can get him away from the Baltimore Orioles and put him in a package deal with Trey Mancini, and it would solve a bullpen issue that the Mets desperately need in their bullpen, because they've been struggling with the bullpen, and getting that DH bat that the Mets desperately need as well in that lineup. So, considering what the Mets would have to give up in Mark Vientos, J.D. Davis, and Eric Orza, top 5 prospect and a top 17 prospect, going to the Baltimore Orioles for Trey Mancini and Felix Bautista, I think is a really good trade proposal. The Mets are giving up a little bit more than I think they would want to, but when it comes down to it, you got to win the NL East. You got to put some arms in that bullpen, along with the DH bat that Trey Mancini will be a welcome addition to. I think it's a good and fair offer for both sides, not only with the Mets, because Trey Mancini will also have that mutual option for 2023, so he's technically not a rental, and Felix Bautista, who is a free agent after this year, will make a lot of sense because the Mets can always bring him up at bring him back for a reasonable deal for the 2023 and beyond, with his age of 27, if he continues to pitch the way he has in the first half for the Orioles for the Mets. Well, guess what? Now you got a bullpen on for the next couple of years, and you have Trey Mancini for 1 more year. So one more time, guys, this is the trade proposal I would give to the Baltimore Orioles and what the Mets will get in return. The Mets will get Trey Mancini and Felix Bautista for the Mets, going to the Mets, and the Baltimore Orioles will get Mark Vientos, top 5 prospect, J.D. Davis, who is a platoon player, and Eric Orza, number 17 prospect in the Mets system. That is the trade proposal between the Mets and the Orioles. I think it's fair. I think it's good for both teams, and I think it could get done in the coming weeks before the trade deadline. Granted, I do know the Baltimore Orioles are going on an awesome run right now, and is only a game and a half out of a wild card spot. So trading these guys are not going to be easy. But realistically, does the front office think that the Orioles have a chance of getting to the playoffs? If they don't, and they think they can get some value from those 2 players, I really think they're going to trade Trey Mancini, and maybe with a little bit of a cherry on top of Bautista if the Mets can pry him away as well. I think the Orioles will make that trade, knowing that Vientos can be up this year if the Orioles really want him, along with J.D. Davis. So you got multiple guys in Vientos and Davis who can play multiple positions, who can help out that lineup as well. So that is your trade proposal, guys. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you're enjoying my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of this trade proposal. Do you think it's too much for the Mets to give up? Or Orioles fans, is it not enough to get Trey Mancini to the Mets and Felix Bautista away from the Baltimore Orioles? Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, Met fans, let's go Mets.